Hi.
Hello. Page 657 of In Search of Christian Freedom. Ray is taking up the definition of sacred service. He had written articles in the Watchtower in 1976, which for some years were new light on what sacred service embraced. We very quickly, after Ray and the rest of the brothers were purged from headquarters, they went right back to the old light on what sacred service meant. Yeah. But anyway, here's his insights as to what sacred service actually embraces in the Bible. Ray says, in harmony with this, after stating many things are involved, this is a direct quote from the article, many things are involved, but your aim, your goal, and your heart motivation are key factors in determining whether what you do is really sacred service or not. Ray comments, the second Watchtower article went on to show that a large part of the sacred service of parents involved their children, an inheritance from Jehovah, according to Psalm 127 verse 3, and holy to him, according to his reference in 1 Corinthians 7 verse 14. Parental care of children was a night and day feature of their sacred service, that's for sure. Mates render sacred service in maintaining the honor of marriage in their relationships to one another, working to the success of their marriage. A housewife could do her work at home as unto the Lord and contribute to the esteem of the good news, among others, by the quality of the home life, by her hospitality, her kindness, and her neighborliness. Men could promote and bring credit to the good news by the way they performed their daily work, putting their heart into what they did, as into work done for the Lord and not merely for men, according to the words of Colossians 3:17 and 23. When done in that spirit, how could it be anything other than service to God?
Many found this information refreshing, expressing that it brought greater meaning to their lives and made them feel that things other than just field service and meeting attendance counted. But all were not pleased, however. After a time, some of the traveling overseers, whose main work was and is to push field service, complained to the service department that the outlook presented undercut their promotion of such activity. By placing other features of life on an equality with field service, it diminished the importance of what they were doing and took some of the power out of their urging for more hours in field service. I personally know of no others who expressed objections.
In 1980, shortly after my resignation from the governing body, another set of articles appeared in the August 15 issue of the Watchtower, designed to return the application of sacred service only to such things as field service and meeting attendance. These articles stressed, in fact based much of their argument on, the fact that to the Jews in pre-Christian times, sacred service, this is a direct quote, was always related to worship in obedience to the law covenant and did not refer to everyday things of the people. That's the end of the quote from the Watchtower of August 15, 1980. It argued that since other people besides Jehovah's Witnesses ate, drank, worked, cleaned homes, obeyed authorities, then how could one's doing these things ever be viewed as this kind of service to God? No, only special, out-of-the-ordinary activities, such as publishing the message found in the Watchtower publications and attending meetings where these were studied, merited being viewed as service sacred to God. It downplayed any thought that motivation could make a difference and give a special or a spiritual quality to acts of an ordinary nature so that they became sacred service to God, making those activities an expression of our worship to God. So then, yeah, back where we feel comfortable if we're JWs, the JW distinctives are the only things that count.
It would be like saying to your kid, taking out the garbage is the only thing that really matters. The rest of the stuff you do is your business. No, it has to be your life.
It's a great example, though, of a double reverse in the Watchtower's teaching, that they would not present it as new light when they went back to what they had before.
Yeah.
But I remember the reaction in 1976 when those articles of Ray's first came out, and how many of my pioneer and elder friends were kind of stunned. This is different, and they found it refreshing.
Yeah, I would think you would. And you know, the phrase that he says that people found that it made them feel that other things counted in their life, that they were actually serving God in their day-to-day living.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good thing. This is where you get down to the nitty-gritty of what matters to you in your life, in your thinking, in your motivation.
But your loyalty, your faithfulness to God is now tied up with these distinctives. Well, we know that's the way they think, maybe more now than they even did before 1976. I know we want to look at a couple of one of the references specifically here.
Yeah.
He brings up the story of Tabitha, Dorcas in the book of Acts as a good example of how early Christians would have seen sacred service. Why did the disciples love this? One of the few women named in the book of Acts.
So Acts 9, verse 36 to 41. Excuse me. But in Joppa there was a certain disciple named Tabitha, which when translated means Dorcas. She abounded in good deeds and gifts of mercy that she was rendering. But in those days she happened to fall sick and die. So they bathed her and laid her in an upper chamber. Now as Lydda was near Joppa, when the disciples heard that Peter was in this city, they dispatched 2 men to him to entreat him, "Please do not hesitate to come on as far as us." At that Peter rose and went with them. And when he arrived, they led him up into the upper chamber. And all the widows presented themselves to him, weeping and exhibiting many inner garments and outer garments that Dorcas used to make while she was with them. But Peter put everyone outside, and bending his knee, he prayed, and turned to the body, he said, "Tabitha, rise." She opened her eyes, and as she caught sight of Peter, she sat up. Giving her his hand, he raised her up, and he called the holy ones and the widows, and presented her alive.
Well, it's a golden opportunity for Luke to make the point that Tabitha was a
leader
marvelous
in the
leader in the preaching work. But why is she beloved? It's got nothing to do with the fruit of the lips. I'm pretty sure all of the early disciples used their lips to praise God and to spread the good news. However, her peculiar service.
Of her hands. She's made things for the widows. She's taken care of people. Gifts of mercy, it says. So it wasn't a business. She was a loving and generous woman from this text.
Now you do see in Paul's epistles lots of counsel to specific parts of the Christian congregation, the men, the younger men, the older men, the older women and the younger women, but nowhere do you find a reference to evangelization. No instructions to any of them to evangelize. Women are instructed in the pastoral epistles to teach the younger women in the congregation, and
they're to teach them to love their husbands and take care of their children and those kinds of things. So if you're going door to door but you don't do those things, what would that accomplish as far as putting meaning into
to draw
the
people.
message that you're saying you're presenting?
Yeah, to draw people to the message, the unique message of Christianity. However, he also references Proverbs 31.
Yeah, where you get the text about the ideal woman. And when you look at the characteristics in that woman, you see things like she's industrious, she's working hard, she's getting up early, she's taking care of not only her family, but the poor in her neighborhood, the people that need generosity. She's hospitable. It's nothing about what she's going around preaching. It's about the things that she's doing that's a praise to her family in the community.
Now, would that woman know how to articulate her Jewish faith? I don't doubt she would.
Yeah.
But that's because everything else was in balance, and she would be a model of wisdom. So it's to me, it's wonderful that the very last chapter of the book of wisdom, the book of Proverbs, is devoted to the perfect woman. Well, I'm sure it doesn't really exist, but
Really?
we're all
Well, what do you mean?
we're all trying. We're all trying. Some are more trying than others.
Yeah.
So that's Ray's reference to Proverbs 31 and Dorcas, Tabitha, and nowhere do we see instructions to evangelize. So in the door-to-door, we've done the door-to-door track, which many of you will have seen. So I'll put the first one on in case you haven't as a link, but also the appendix, which a lot of people didn't see, which is about the instructions that Paul and the other apostles give to their congregations. We have lots of information, but nowhere do we find instructions to witness, to preach, to evangelize. So put that on your screen as well.
Good.